Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're pulling apart something that really boils down to a single, very powerful number.
And that number is $5.9 million.
Exactly, $5.9 million. We're diving into Montreal's Plateau Mont-Royal borough, which is, one of the most iconic and densely packed neighborhoods in North America.
And every single year, that's the amount, $5.9 million, that the borough injects into its parks and public infrastructure, just to maintain and develop them.
It's an incredible figure, and our mission today is to unpack it. Because for you, the listener, it's important to see this isn't just an expense on a spreadsheet.
No, it's a very strategic choice. It reflects a clear set of priorities, especially when you consider how small and dense the plateau really is.
Right. So we're going to dissect its economic role, its social function, and why this level of investment is,
All right.
well, why it's basically essential in a place with this much pressure on every single square foot of green space.
It's all about consolidating the quality of life they have, and maybe more importantly, just responding to the constantly increasing use. It's an optimization game.
Okay, let's follow the money. First things first, what does that $5.9 million actually buy?
Well, the sources are clear that it's highly focused. This is the operational lifeblood.
So not the huge, flashy legacy projects?
Not primarily, no. We're talking about the essentials, landscaping, maintaining all the street furniture, benches, trash cans, that sort of thing.
The day-to-day grind of keeping things working.
Exactly. The upkeep of pathways, the repair of service buildings. It's the constant work that keeps the parks from falling apart.
What's really fascinating, though, is how this spending is designed to almost justify itself financially.
Absolutely. It's not just reactive spending. It's a strategic investment with immediate, measurable economic benefits.
Okay, so let's start with the most direct impact. When the borough decides to, say, renovate a playground.
Right. That project immediately mobilizes a whole team. You've got local entrepreneurs, landscape architects, construction workers.
So that capital gets injected right back into the regional economy.
Precisely. It's a job creation engine that also happens to produce a beautiful public space at the end.
And beyond those jobs, there's a kind of multiplier effect, right? Through what the sources call commercial attractiveness.
Yes. Think about it. If you, as a resident or a visitor, find the public spaces clean, safe, and pleasant, you linger.
You don't just pass through. You might stop for a coffee, browse a local shop.
You might meet a friend for a picnic instead of just staying home. All of that extra time spent in the neighborhood, it translates directly into more foot traffic for local businesses.
But this is where it gets really interesting, I think, for anyone looking at urban wealth, the real estate premium.
This is the key leverage point. That $5.9 million helps maintain the appeal and, crucially, the actual monetary wealth of the plateau's real estate.
We have a hard number on this.
We do. And you should really remember this data point. A home located near a well-maintained park or quality infrastructure, like a safe bike path, its value can increase by 5 to 15%.
5 to 15%. In a market like Montreal's, that is a massive number.
It's huge. I mean, think about a $600,000 home. A 10% premium is 60 grand of its value, tied directly to the quality of that park down the street.
So the sources call this a safe bet for property owners.
It is. Because the borough spends the $5.9 million, which sustains the property values, which in turn generate the high property taxes needed to pay for the $5.9 million in the first place.
It's a perfect self-sustaining loop. High value demands high maintenance, which sustains high value.
It is a very functional cycle. But it does beg the question, why so much? Why $5.9 million every year just to stand still?
Which brings us to the other side of the coin, the pressure of density.
That's the why. The Plateau is one of the most densely populated boroughs in the city. Its parks aren't just a nice-to-have feature.
They're essential. They're basically communal backyards, and that's only become more true since 2020.
It's been amplified dramatically. We have some pretty shocking statistics on just how intense that usage has become.
Let's hear them.
Okay, so iconic parks like Parc La Fontaine, which is, this huge green lung for the area, and smaller ones like Park Baldwin, they recorded attendance increases of 20 to 30%.
20 to 30% more people than before the pandemic.
During the warm seasons, yes. And that's not a one-time spike. That's the new normal.
So you have 30% more people using the same swings, walking on the same grass, sitting on the same benches, day in, day out.
And that is the very definition of accelerated wear and tear.
Yeah.
You can't put that much more pressure on infrastructure and expect it to last as long as it was designed to.
So a bench that was supposed to last 10 years might only last, 7?
Maybe. which means a huge portion of that $5.9 million isn't for exciting new things. It's for triage.
It's for preventive maintenance and, I guess, early replacement.
Exactly. The children's play areas, the drinking fountains, their lifespan is just being shortened by this intense use.
So sources even call it an intensity of use tax. The borough is literally paying for the intensity.
It's a good way to frame it. It's the cost of maintaining a premium asset in a high-demand location. And that cost is above the normal rate of depreciation. They have to replace things years earlier than a less dense borough would.
It really puts that number in perspective. It's the price of excellence under extreme pressure.
It is. But let's shift gears a bit, because this isn't just about financial pressure. The sources are very clear. This is also about public health and social equity.
Right. A big piece of this investment is about fighting the urban heat island effect.
A huge piece. A defined portion of that budget is systematically allocated to tree planting and developing more permeable surfaces.
And for anyone who's not familiar, why is that so critical in a dense neighborhood?
Because green spaces are natural air conditioners. The tree canopy provides shade, the soil provides evaporative cooling. It directly lowers the temperature compared to the surrounding concrete and asphalt.
And that's not just about comfort.
Not at all. This is public health infrastructure, full stop. Urban heat islands make respiratory problems worse, especially for kids and the elderly. Trees are the cheapest and most effective way to protect people during a heat wave.
So park budgets are actually a form of preventative health care.
In a very real way, yes. And that focus on health and equity extends to accessibility, too.
Tell us about that.
The investment mandates universal accessibility standards. The goal is to make sure that all residents can enjoy these spaces. Seniors, people with reduced mobility, families pushing strollers.
So we're talking about things like smooth pathways instead of gravel, ramps instead of just stairs.
Exactly. Barrier-free access points.
Okay.
It's about ensuring the parks are a truly shared resource, not an exclusive one. It's an equity mandate built right into the budget.
And finally, there's the role parks play as well as community catalysts.
They're the social fabric. When you invest in renovating a sports field or adding new picnic tables or supporting a community garden, you're not just improving a physical space.
You're strengthening community ties.
You're creating the unprogrammed living rooms of the neighborhood. You're promoting social interaction, reinforcing a sense of belonging. You're maintaining the social spirit of the plateau with that money.
That's a great way to put it. Okay, so connecting all this to the bigger picture, is this $5.9 million an outlier? Or is this just what it costs? How does it stack up against other boroughs?
It's an excellent question, but a really tricky one to answer directly.
Why is that?
Because most other boroughs, they group their park budgets under these huge, broad headings, like recreation or culture. You can't easily isolate the line item for just green space maintenance.
So it's an apples to oranges comparison.
In many ways, yes. But we do have a couple of data points that give us a sense of scale. Let's start with Villeray-Saint-Michel Park Extension, or VSP.
Okay.
So the Plateau's annual budget of $5.9 million is actually 3 times higher than VSP's average annual capital budget for park redevelopment.
Wait, okay, that's a key distinction. VSP's number is for capital redevelopment.
Meaning brand new construction or massive rebuilds over a 10-year plan. The Plateau's is for operational maintenance, the year-in, year-out work.
So what does that 3 times difference tell us?
It tells us that VSP's money is for major, long-term projects spread over a much larger area. The Plateau's budget, on the other hand, is almost entirely focused on sheer survival.
It's survival.
The rigorous, continuous work needed to keep their existing assets at a premium level under that intense pressure. They're paying for quality retention, which is more expensive annually than VSP's intermittent capital renewal.
Wow. Okay, now let's look at a bigger borough.
Saint Laurent.
Right. So Saint Laurent has a much larger overall budget. They allocate about $30.2 million to recreation and culture, which includes parks.
So their total is way bigger than the Plateau's $5.9 million.
In absolute terms, yes, it dwarfs it. But, and this is the crucial context, that $30 million has to cover a vastly larger territory.
Including what? Big nature parks, pools, libraries? Exactly. Huge facilities, vast spaces. That money is spread very thin. So when you put it all together, the Plateau's $5.9 million focus so tightly on parks in such a small area.
It represents one of the highest concentrations of investment.
Per square meter of park and per inhabitant. That's the key takeaway. It's not the biggest budget, but it is one of the most concentrated and, you could argue, most critical.
A budget of survival and excellence, as the sources put it.
That's it. It's sustained by the high property tax revenue that the budget itself helps to protect. It's a very powerful, closed system.
So what this all means for you, the listener, is that this $5.9 million figure, it's more than just a number. It's a roadmap. It's the borough's entire strategy for resilience, for attraction, for inclusion.
And for stabilizing and growing the wealth of the neighborhood by constantly reinvesting in its public spaces.
Which leads us to our final provocative thought. We've seen that a wealthy, dense borough like the Plateau has to spend this heavily just to counter the wear and tear from a 20 to 30% usage increase.
An amount 3 times higher than the capital investment of other areas, just on annual maintenance.
So the question becomes, if it's this expensive to maintain green space and a resource-rich environment, what does that mean for the long-term feasibility of relying on parks as public health infrastructure in the world's faster-growing but less wealthy megacities?
Exactly. What new funding models, or maybe what breakthroughs in material science, will we need to handle that kind of intense public usage permanently, especially when those cities don't have the plateau's high property tax base to lean on?
It suggests the true cost of essential urban green space is only going to grow, and maybe exponentially.
A sobering thought for urban planners everywhere.
Indeed. Thank you for joining us for the deep dive. We'll see you next time.